Um, so today we're going to do a couple of things, but I want to say a little bit about some comments about where we stand and what's coming up first. So last time we did Homework 4 presentations. We're going to be doing Homework 4 presentations again on Wednesday. So those of you that didn't give presentations last Wednesday, there's a good chance you'll be doing it on Wednesday again. And the idea in doing that is that this is the first time we stepped into sort of a multi-dimensional space, if you will, where you were tracking things with multiple dimensions or having a measurement vector that was multi-dimensional. And there were lots of things that show up when you try to do that, as a lot of you experienced. I think it's valuable to go through the other presentations from other students for that. So we'll be doing that again on Wednesday. And
did you say that you uploaded something on that? I don't know what it was when we were in office hours. You said you uploaded a file that regarded the multidimensional.
The code I uploaded, you've seen it. The code I uploaded for the case studies is for the multidimensional case. It's not optimized, it's not efficient, but it should be reasonably understandable, and I think it's accurate. So, today I want to say a little bit more. We went through the case study that I presented, which was almost like my Homework 4 presentation, quite rapidly. I want to spend some more time going through that and talk about some issues that came up in working on that application today. And then we'll get to what is sort of my favorite type of particle filter that's not very popular and I think underutilized and works really well, but there's a lot of interesting wrinkles that come along when you're using this kind of particle filter. So we'll be talking. There's a number of things in terms of course logistics that I want to go over. First of all, again, Homework 4 presentations, we're going to have more of those on Wednesday. Homework 5, I don't think I've updated the website, so those of you that didn't listen to the lecture and weren't here, if you've already done Homework 5, I apologize. It may change some. It's not due actually for a few weeks out. It's not even going to be due next Wednesday. It'll be due probably the following Wednesday, and that'll be the final homework assignment of the term. So, but don't begin on that if you haven't already. What you should work on is start getting your projects together. It's time to work on that. We only have one more homework assignment. It won't be too onerous, and at this point in the term, we're at lecture 11. I'd like you guys to start working on your proposals. And one of the things I wanted to go over is next Wednesday. Let me try this. So here's the proposal, and it was actually due today at noon. I don't think anyone actually did it. I need to update that. We're a little bit off schedule. I'm going to make this due next Monday, or I'm sorry, next Wednesday instead of the original due date, which was today. I didn't give you a heads up on this, and I hadn't been keeping a close eye on it, so I'm going to push this out just a little ways. But these are the things I would like you to prepare, and I want to go over these just briefly. I would like your projects to be practical and, if at all possible, to be working with a real data set rather than a synthetic data set. I'd like you guys to be working with real data. It's not a requirement, but it's a strong recommendation that you work with real data. Whether you're working with synthetic data or real data, the problem should be something that's important to somebody for what you're tracking. It should have some practical application and be something that is based on your research or based on something in the literature or something on the web, but it should be a problem where you can explain what the relevance is. If you had a perfect tracker that could track the state beautifully, who would care is one way of thinking about that. So the relevance of the problem that you're working on is important, and you should be able to explain what this context is. So I'm looking for basically a paragraph here that answers that question. A description of the data set you plan to use. Again, it's not required that it be real data, but strongly, strongly recommended. I'd really like you guys to be working with real data, and be as complete as you can in your description of the data set. Tell me how many points are in your data set, how many dimensions, maybe what the units are if you think it'll be helpful to me. I mean, give me a good sense of what the data looks like. Including a plot might not be a bad idea. Are you doing 1,000,000 points? Are you doing 5,000 points, 50 points? I'd like to have a sense of that. You should also know from this data what it is you're interested in estimating, or whether it's the location of fish or trading prices, or I don't know what, but whatever it is you're trying to estimate, I'd like to have a good sense of that. I'd like to know how your state vector is going to be defined, of what you're going to be tracking. And I'd like to have a sense of how you're going to display your results. Are you going to show us the marginal distributions? Are you going to show us plots of the weights and how often you have to resample? Are you going to have some kind of performance figures? Give me a sketch. What tables and what figures are going to be included in your final report? You don't have to have those results yet, but you should be able to describe what you're planning to generate. So you can imagine figures and table captions without the figures and tables themselves is one way of thinking about that. So those are the 4 things that I would like in the project proposals. And again, I'll update the due date so that it's actually due next Wednesday rather than today. Any questions on that?
Just a comment, because I know real data can be hard to get a hold of. I think it's UC Davis. There's a big online repository where you can download data sets, and they have full descriptions about how the data was collected. It's just, anything that was financed with public money, the whole thing should be available. So they've been trying to put data sets out there, and I can't remember what university it is, but you can Google it and look for University of California online data repository if you're looking for a data set and you don't have one.
That's great. Thank you, Reed. I will also mention that if you want to record your own data, the data acquisition card is a very cheap A to D converter. It's got issues with it, but it provides a mechanism for quickly and easily acquiring voltages. So something to consider if you're collecting your own data. But Reed's right. If you aren't already familiar with the data set, you ought to be able to find some real data sets on the web pretty easily, including the reference that he listed. Any other comments on this? Questions? Okay, we're at the point in the term where we're transitioning, where there will be more and more emphasis on the projects to help you prepare for them. We've got, today's lecture at 11. We're skipping one, so we've got roughly 8 lectures left. So it's going fast. We're getting into the final stretch here. I don't know. Oh, good. I can move that out of the way. So the other thing that I wanted to mention is that next week, Dr. Juan is going to be lecturing in this class instead of me. And it's a nice time because I think today we'll finish up with the notes on particle filters. We'll have more examples as we go through the term. I plan to expand the set of slides on case studies and to figure out why they're 35 megabytes and get them down to reasonable size again so I can add even more slides to them. But I think as of today, we'll essentially be done with particle filters, and we'll move on to some of the more traditional tracking algorithms that have a number of advantages over particle filters in certain applications. And there are ways of blending them together as well. So you can use, for example, the traditional Kalman filter recursions for estimating a piece of the state and use particle filters for estimating another piece of the state. And so there's some interesting things that you can do by combining the two. And Eric, I don't actually know what you're planning to cover next week. Where are you going
to be at?
So I'll be done with particle filters.
Will you have done Kalman filters yet?
No. No, I won't get to them.
So probably you want me to cover them. My thought was I would just use your lecture notes but supplement them with other stuff.
Okay,
That work?
sure, sure.
Or just yours?
If you like, I'll send you an electronic copy of the slides on the Kalman filter, so if you
I was
want
gonna have
to
the
tweak them, you
PDFs,
can.
but I don't
Yeah, it was all done in LaTeX, and
Okay.
I know you speak LaTeX, so.
I don't use LaTeX much anymore. I use Word.
Okay.
Yeah, either way. But yeah, I'll start with common filters, and then probably get to the UKF, and then talk about the sort of UKF.
Okay.
combination.
Don't use up all my slides. I've still got. I said don't use up all of them. I've still got
Yes.
lectures I need to give. So.
But you have, wasn't it two lectures, right?
Yeah, 2
Was
lectures.
it one lecture on common and one lecture on UKF?
You can do that. You'll be going through them fast, but I'll survive. I'll be creating new slides towards the end of the term. That's fine. Okay. So, anyways, that's where things stand with the course. Any question about course logistics or where we're headed? Okay.